I'm Farzad Azimpour. I'm a cardiologist by background. I currently serve as SVP of Strategic Innovation at Edwards Lifesciences. I'm also on faculty at Stanford Biodesign, where I lead design at Stanford Biodesign. I'm going to be talking to you about a little startup that we have called Edwards Lifesciences. It's based here in Irvine. I'm being completely sarcastic with that. Let's get started. So a little bit about Edwards, and I'm going to spend just a couple minutes here, and then we'll actually spend time with the companies that matter today, which are the new and exciting companies that are going to give you something that hopefully will change practice pretty soon. But Edwards started in 1958, and Lowell Edwards himself was a retired pump engineer in the timber and aerospace industries. And he himself had rheumatic heart disease when he was a child. So he said, when I retire, I want to focus my efforts on developing solutions and therapies for patients with rheumatic heart disease. So he needed to find a clinical partner. And he found Albert Starr, who was a young, energetic cardiac surgeon at OHSU. And together, with engineering and clinical power, they were able to bring together what became the first commercially available artificial heart valve. Since then, Edwards has focused on clinical and engineering partners to take things forward, most recently in the transcatheter spaces, but definitely from a legacy standpoint in the surgical businesses, and many up-and-coming categories as well, including heart failure and management of the patient outside of the traditional clinical setting. We became Edwards Lifesciences in 2000 after a series of activities and movements, and the rest is history. So how are we different? Edwards focuses only on structural heart disease. This is important. We go deep. You'll find that the people who work at Edwards, either from an engineering or a clinical or all of the other capabilities that are required to make and bring something to commercial use, everybody goes deep only in structural heart disease. We take on very large topics. We're not going for incremental improvements in things. And in particular, we're looking to be first in a category or have a path to first. And the reason for that is so that we can have a seat at the table when we're determining policy from the beginning. You may think that having a box of structural heart disease is kind of a small space and you're going to run out of ideas and things to work on, right? Turns out there are a couple of conditions here in our box that give us a fertile ground to work on. And there are a lot of consequences to missing out on these unmet clinical needs. And when I say unmet clinical needs, I don't throw that term around loosely. Our teams have a very specific definition as to what that means. And we're going for things that are going to change the practice of medicine altogether. Here's a 36,000-foot view of some of today's offerings from Edwards, both commercial and investigational. And so you can see primarily we have a lot of valvular technologies. And I will say that our latest focus happens to be in interventional heart failure. So you're going to see a lot of things coming out in that direction as well. So we do focus on the entire lifetime management of a patient. It's not about just implanting one device and stepping back and forgetting. How does an individual live with a condition and live with a series of devices that are anticipated over a matter of decades from now? We put our money where our mouth is in terms of innovation. So we spend almost twice as much on innovation internally, organically, than many comparators in the space. And the reason is we can focus and go deep. So if we can do that in-house, you'll find that even the investments that we make tend to be earlier, so we can bring in technology, put our fingerprints on it, and be truly the best at that technology in space. This is backed by not only the intellectual property that we have, but also the clinical evidence that we generate and the investment that we make in publications and getting the science right. We have just over 16,000 employees globally, serving just over 100 countries. And you will see that this kind of benefit manifests not only in reaching patients globally in areas that might not ordinarily seem reachable, but also in resiliency in getting something to patients in uncertain times, like through the global pandemic. And finally, We also have efforts on our nonprofit side through the Edwards Lifesciences Foundation, where we have efforts to serve patients who don't have access to either surgical or transcatheter therapies. We have an initiative called Every Heartbeat Matters, where we're serving, actually we've just moved that number up beyond 2.5 million patients to be helped by these therapies globally. And we also are focusing now for a 2030 goal with social determinants of health to get, again, education and therapies out to patients. This is a big piece of what we do. So finally, we've helped over 6 million patients with structural heart disease. About half of those have undergone transcatheter therapies, but really we're excited at what's coming next, and we hope to come along this journey with all of you. So thank you.